weight of $9.56. Selling the oil and only valuing the meal for its dry meal value gains you $6.08. So at 15 cent a weight an acre, you pick up $143.40. This shows the price of soybean oil, soybeans, and soybean meal from February 2012 to February 2013. The yellow highlighted squares are for February of 2013. They show a price per bushel of soybeans at $14.61. Show the price of meal at $4.69.16, and the price of oil at 51 cents a pound. This is from the Chicago Board of Trade. This shows that 60 pounds or 1 bushel of soybeans are worth $14.61. There are 12 pounds of oil in a bushel of soybeans, and it is worth $6.14. There are 8.4 pounds that you removed worth $4.30. There are 48 pounds of dry meal worth $11.26 per bushel. There are 51 pounds of oil and meal in a bushel worth $12.20. Oil removed, oil and meal has a value of $16.50. So you're adding all the values and subtracting the seed, you end up with a $1.89 added by processing. If no value is given to the oil in the meal, there is still a 95 cents per bushel. If you take your average yield and multiply it, that will give you your price per acre. The value gained for a P101 press in a year's time is $70,000, and for a P500 is $350,000. These are the canola prices from 2008 to 2013. The highlighted cells show the prices for January 2013. For this example, we use $14 a bushel for canola, 55 cents a pound for the oil, and $309 a ton for the meal. There are 21 pounds of oil in a bushel of canola. It is worth $11.55 per bushel. You can remove 18 pounds of oil worth $9.91 per bushel. There are 29 pounds of dry meal in 1 bushel of canola. It is worth $4.48 per bushel. There's 32 pounds of oil and meal in 1 bushel of pressed canola. It is worth $6.13. The value of the oil removed and oil and meal in 1 bushel of pressed canola is $16.03. That leaves an increase in value of $2.03 per bushel. The $2.03 a bushel, when translated to acres of a 40 bushel yield, is $81.22. If no value is given to the oil in the meal, there's still a 38 cent a bushel increase. That equates to, on a 40 bushel yield, it's either $15.22 per ton or per acre. The FDA has ruled that canola oil may help reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. In 2006, the Food and Drug Administration has ruled that canola oil is eligible to bear a qualified health claim on its ability to reduce the risk of coronary heart disease. Just think how much more healthy the cold-pressed oil is, with all the vitamins and antioxidants still left in there and not destroyed by the heat and the solvent that's done with conventional processing. Here are some examples and pictures of KEK cold press facilities around the world. This trial was done at South Dakota State University's research farm at Beersford. It measured growth rate, feed intake, and feed conversion in 50 to 110 pound pigs. The yellow is the control ration made up of straight soybean meal, conventionally processed. The blues are camelina, either 7.5 or 15% of the ration, and the red is cold pressed canola meal at 15% of the ration. Gain, canola outperformed the other three. Feed intake was virtually similar except for the 7.5% camelina meal. And the feed to gain was better for the canola than for even the conventionally processed soy. This Australian study shows a comparison of lysine forms in cold press, expeller extracted, and solvent extracted canola fed to growing pigs. The total lysine in the seed was 11.68, 17.41, 17.25, and 18.7 for the solvent. The reactive lysine was 8.83 for the seed, 13 for the cold pressed, 10.88 for expeller, and 11.38 for solvent. As you can see as you go down through there, the final one that shows the true allele digestibility of reactive lysine is 12.35 for cold pressed, 9.79 for expeller pressed, and 10.35 for solvent extracted. This just goes to show that the quality of the cold pressed meal is superior to the other forms. A number of studies, Van Barneveld and Newkirk et al., have found that heat processing through both expeller and solvent meal production has a negative impact on canola meal quality for monogastrics. Lysine has been shown to be more affected by heat processing than other amino acids. That's from Newkirk. This is likely due to the Maillard reactions, as canola meal contains considerable quantities of soluble sugars. As you can see in the graph, that the cold pressed canola meal has much higher levels of total lysine as a percentage of protein. This graph again shows the total amount of lysine as a percent of protein on the different types of processing. The solvent has less, the expeller has less, and the cold press has more than the other two. It's just a visual example of how much better cold pressed meal can be than either conventionally processed or expeller processed. This trial was done at the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon. It shows reduced digestible content of most amino acids, depending on processing. Prior to toasting, which is done by methods of either expelling or solvent extracting, the canola meal had 307 kilograms available amino acids. After toasting, 1 metric ton of canola meal had 270 kilograms of available amino acids. That's a 12% reduction in digestible amino acids. Now, what does that mean? That means that you start out with 307 minus 270 is 37 kgs, or 81.5 pounds more available amino acids. At $1.13 a pound for lysine, that equals $92 minimum extra value in cold pressed meal per metric ton.